Good evening and a warm welcome. In today's educational landscape, schools are increasingly adopting innovative teaching methods to enhance students' engagement and learning outcomes. This includes technologies like virtual reality, gamification, and project based learning. These methods aim to cater to diverse learning styles and prepare students for a dynamic world. However, moving to these new teaching methods comes with challenges. There are worries about increasing educational inequalities, resistance from teachers who prefer traditional methods, and the need to balance new approaches with core subjects. Additionally, there are concerns about how effective these methods will be in the long run and how to measure their impact accurately. In this panel discussion, we'll look at the pros and the cons of new teaching methods, see how they work in practice, and talk about ways to tackle any challenges. And for that, we have two very special guests with us today, Kanmani Kavita ma'am and Pratima Srivastava ma'am. Let me give you a brief introduction about them. So, our first panelist is Kanmani Kavita ma'am, who is principal of Endeavor Academy and is an alumni of National College, Jayanagar, with a rich educational background, including degrees in psychology, economics, sociology, and English. With over 30 years in education, she has worked at St. Paul's English School, BGS International Residential School, and PSBB Learning Leadership Academy, known for her innovative teaching and contributions to teacher training and wellness programs. Ms. Kanmani fosters a motivating and supportive learning environment. Welcome, ma'am. And our second panelist is Ms. Pratima Srivastava, Principal of Auden Public School, Bangalore, is a seasoned educator with 22 years of experience. She is pursuing a doctorate in education, holds master degree in fine arts and management, and is UGC certified. Renowned for her dynamic leadership, she is a Best Principal awardee and a state level sitar player. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you. How are you feeling, ma'am? How are you feeling? Very excited. Okay, so we'll begin our question session with Kanmani ma'am. So, ma'am, can you tell me how do you ensure that the implementation of new teaching methods doesn't widen the gap between students with different levels of access to technology at home?
Yeah, so to begin with, innovative teaching practices, we're talking about innovative teaching practices, isn't it? Right? Doesn't widen gap. Yeah, so innovative teaching practice is something that is actually gaining a lot of momentum these days. And to be practicing that in our classes, we need to first have our teachers trained. Right. They need to understand the need for it. So teacher training comes the foremost is what I would say. Apart from that, your lesson plan writing must include innovative teaching practices. We still, I think, probably stick to our age-old ways of writing the lesson plans. So while teacher is planning for her lessons, she must include a lot of practices like blended learning. There should be a scope for differentiated instructions, right? Where, like, it may sound cliche, but one true size doesn't fit all. So a teacher must be able to plan her lessons in such a way that she is able to cater to everybody in her class, and every child must feel that he or she is important in the class. That way, there will it will bridge the gap. Right, is what I feel. Apart from that, I think you also need to sensitize your stakeholders as to how important it is, um, to abide by what the school says. Because sometimes, most often these days, we do give children, assignments wherein they have to probably get back, search on the net, and then submit. So mine is a semi-rural school, you see, and there are some of them who are first generation learners. Oh. So in that case, it becomes very difficult. Right. The parents are clueless as to how to help their kids. Right. And most often, help is required to be extended by the school. Right. So if we don't do that, in in that case, there will definitely be a divide. Like we've all faced something called a digital divide, when pandemic set in. And it was difficult for children to attend online classes. But we made sure that we kind of extended help from the school by providing them separate classrooms where they could come and sit and attend classes. So even now, I have to help my stakeholders. It may be as simple as taking up an ERP and wanting to help them out to download the app. We have to call them to school and help them to do it. So I think the school as such plays a major role in trying to help and extending hand to the stakeholders. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, Kanmani ma'am, can you tell me what are some of the biggest challenges you have faced when introducing innovative teaching techniques and how have you addressed them?
Yeah. So to just give you an example, if you were to give an assignment to a student, and if the parents do not understand what the assignment is, they get back to school saying that you'll be giving them assignments where they've been asking us for our mobiles, asking for laptops.
Definitely.
And we're not able to, even make them understand that going forward, it is required for your children to be exposed to technology.
Definitely.
All they understand is the child is sitting throughout, with a laptop. They don't even understand what the child is doing.
Right.
So there is a problem in that sense.
Right, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. So with that,
Yes, ma'am. So what I feel is, at one end, it is the teachers who need to be sensitized.
Definitely.
At the other hand, the stakeholders who need to be sensitized. And the schools, in the rural setup, will face a challenge when it comes to these things.
Definitely, ma'am. Okay. With that, we'll move ahead with Pratibha ma'am. So, ma'am, can you tell me what kind of professional development do teachers receive to adapt these innovative methods? And how do you address resistance from staff?
Thank you for the question. So, professional development program for the teachers, of course, like any other school, we also run various programs, especially in the beginning of the year. But before that, I would like to throw some light on this innovative teaching and learning methods that we run in our school. And so, when we say innovative teaching and learning methods, I think it's a need of the hour.
Right.
As we all understand, we are in this now. The current time is a very major shift is happening in education sector, and if I can say, it's a paradigm shift, right? And if we as an educator, we are not able or we are not ready to experiment, explore, and take certain small risks, we won't be able to cope up with the changes, rapid changes happening around us. And just imagine if we as an educator with so many years of experience, we claim that we have, so how the children who are just in a learning stage,
Right.
how they will be able to cope up. So as a school, we have, we call it, it's a program, it's called Grow Together program in our school. And we do very two beautiful innovative methods, teaching and learning methods. We practice very actively in the school. And I'm very excited to share it here with, here with you all and with the public who's going to watch us. That one is called inquiry-based learning, which is a very famous, teaching and learning approach these days. Mostly schools, they follow. And we also have adopted this inquiry-based learning method, of course, with a little bit of customization, what works for us, right? So in inquiry-based learning method, as the name suggests, inquiry means you are allowed to ask questions as well the learner. The listeners are also allowed to ask questions. And not only ask questions, figure out the answers. In fact, when I talk to my children, I always give a phrase. I have a habit of saying, enough of looking for answers, let's look for some questions. We are looking for some learners who are seeking questions, not only looking for answers. So inquiry-based learning, so when the lesson happens, it starts with the lesson plan. As ma'am has rightly mentioned, that lesson plan needs a little more, we need to really work on our lesson plan structure. The regular monotonous way of writing and taking the signature. It is happening with due respect because, of course, that's the foundation. But how we are going to evolve from there.
Right.
So we have customized our lesson plans where the teachers they write and go beyond the chapters, beyond the topic what they are going to deal. And then after the chapter gets over, the children get the time to reflect on it. And then we have a tree called curiosity tree in the classroom. And after the topic gets over, children they all get their sticky note and they place their questions on it. And then all together, it's a regular like together they do this exercise together. They figure out the answers. So yeah, some of the leaves we are able to remove with the answers, and those questions which are unanswered, there are plenty questions which are unanswered. They remain there. It remains there, and then sometimes after 2 months, 3 months, or sometimes it just remains. So just to give them a message that not necessarily all the answers you will be getting immediately. You have to look for answers. So that's one. And second, I actually the second one is more exciting. We call it silence practice in the school. So it's like moments of mindfulness, we call it. And it starts from the beginning when we start our day with the assembly. So we do our assembly dispersals in silence. So I mean, it's our school is like four floor building. So by the time you reach your classroom, and the first teacher comes for the first period, you're not supposed to talk. So there is an absolute silence in the school the moment assembly dispersal happens, and it's beautiful. And of course, we have given an explanation also to the children and teachers because we are fond of talking.
Right.
We like to say everything. We like to explain things. So when we started this, I explained. I gave a session to the teachers and children also. You just stay quiet and think what you need to do now. Rest everything you can explain later. So bit by bit, little by little. So we extended this from assembly to now. What we do is all the sessions we begin with silence, we close with silence. Again, the logic is or the reason is not any religious practice or anything else. It's just that stay still, sit in silence, gather yourself. We are so scattered. We are so scattered. Just now when I entered the office, I was so many thoughts around me. I was so scattered. Then I gathered myself. So before getting into any learning session, we need to gather our energy. Then only the complete involvement of the learner as well as the person who is trying to teach or give some knowledge will be able to do justice with the work. And it ends, of course, we close our day also in silence. Again, I'm repeating, it has nothing to do with any religious practice or anything. You can keep your eyes open. You have to just stay calm. And trust me, it has helped my children as well, teachers also, to do the transition from one class to another class. Because I finished my class in class 8 and I have to reach now grade 10. And the transition, it is just the time I get is to go to from this class to this class. But then when they enter the class, they close their eyes, they gather their energy and start the session. Of course, 110% we are getting very positive results. The change, the shift, the positive impact on their grades, overall behavior, and a very promising positive response from their peer group. You know,
Right.
so there's a calm. There is a feeling of positivity in the entire school before it. Now coming to your question, that of course these two practices we have been doing this quite a long time. And how we started, of course, we need to first we have given a heads up to the teachers. I was the one who started. So first we have taken a session. I explained them what it is. I have explained the logic behind it, everything, why. You need to get into the why. And if you're not, of course, convinced, you need to ask question. And so we have conducted a couple of sessions to convince and at least to make them ready to take the first step. It starts with the first step. So I think so far we have conducted around 7 to 8 sessions. Every time when we conduct the session to continue with this Grow Together program, every time we come up with the new challenges, new questions, new debate, new argument, and definitely there will be one person saying that it is wasting a lot of time. But then when we discuss, and now the teachers has themselves, they are the advocate for these programs. Another thing about the training sessions every year, like as I said, like any other school, we conduct the teachers training program, like how to, like for lesson plan. We have done very exclusive training session for the teachers with the help of external resource person, and as well I was also sitting there, because yes, our experience also, it gives a lot of input and help for the teachers. What is the expectation as per the school? And we have this year we have conducted a very special, unique program called QCT for our teachers. It's called Quality Circle Time. Not only for the junior wing. Generally, circle time, when we say, people think about pre-kindergarten classes. We have conducted it for all from nursery till grade 10. So circle time is required for all the children, all the teachers, and the aim of this program is to ensure that the learner and the teacher, they are connected, they are open, and there is no gap between them. I think there are so many things that we are talking, we need to do this, we need to do that. But how, we need to figure out how. So to an extent, to figure out how, we are conducting all these things.
Right. That's really great, ma'am. Like keeping all of these exercise, keeping your mind healthy and keeping your body healthy is really required these days. And people do not take mental health very seriously. Few people. I have come across few people. So, ma'am, what are your thoughts on them who does not take mental health very seriously?
As you said, mental health, I think it should be the priority, whether you're talking about education sector. Ma'am has completed 3 decades, I have completed 2 decades, and anything that we are doing, and if I'm not wrong, you are in a corporate sector, right?
Right.
Mental health plays the most important role, because if I'm not mentally ready, just a simple word, are you ready? You asked us, ma'am, are you ready? This word ready itself is a very deep word. Am I ready? To keep myself ready, or keep a child or a learner ready in my class, there's a lot of effort that goes behind it as a teacher, and for the child himself or herself, how to keep myself ready. So mental health plays absolutely important role, and it is not only about the workplace, it is also about the parenting.
Right.
And if we start talking about parenting, the discussion can go on and on, because we all are parents. What kind of parenting we are doing, how we are preparing our children to be ready to receive things, to accept things, or at least do not accept, to be open to listen to somebody. A lot of challenges are there now. And it's, as I'm repeating myself, that the first thing that has to be looked upon is the kind of parenting that is happening these days. I'll be a little open, because this is an important forum where people should listen and understand that actual learning starts from home. Right? And what kind of a parent I am, that is going to impact what kind of a teacher she is. Right? How a teacher is going to nurture a child. Of course, it's a common project that me and the parent is working upon, the child. And if both of us are not working hand in hand, child cannot be nurtured. Right? As ma'am said, getting a cooperation, educating them. And if you ask me, it's not about the child is going to learn. It's the journey of a parent who starts the schooling for the child, right? The school plays a crucial role, but at the same time, not less than school, the home, the atmosphere at home plays the most important role in the overall development of a child.
So, Kanmani ma'am, can you add into that? So, as ma'am said, and I said earlier, that there are few people. I have come across a person. So he was saying that mental health is nothing. It's just mentally. You do not take it seriously. Nothing happens. So, what are your thoughts on those people? So, I want to ask you, and what do you want to say to like people who doesn't take it seriously, who just think it's just mentally, it's nothing. It's just your mind saying that. So what's your thought?
Yeah, so taking the discussion forward from what ma'am said, it's very important, we say in sound mind and a sound body. And I think it's very important right now. We've been talking about innovative methods, we talk about educational pedagogies and all of that. All of that is obsolete if you don't pay importance or if you don't prioritize the mental health of the students in your class.
Right.
And I keep telling my teachers that you need not be a trained counselor, you need not be a trained psychologist to take care of mental health. Why I say that is anybody who's empathetic, anybody who's understanding, anybody with a lot of patience, who's calm, can easily reach out to a child.
Right.
And the children are observing you in the class. Right. Like ma'am said, they're observing the parents in the class at home. Monkey see, monkey do is what I always tell you.
Right.
So the children are seeing you being calm, composed, empathetic, being able to understand the needs of the students in the class. You're an active listener. You're not judgmental. You're somebody who can keep things confidential. They will also invite these qualities. And that's a great way to set a tone in your class. Like when you started, your first question was, how are you feeling today?
Right.
I keep telling my teachers, that's the first question you need to, ask your students in the class. You do not know what's happening in their homes. And once again, like ma'am said, the kind of homes that they come from matters a lot. We do not know, that evening, the previous evening, what happened. What went wrong at home, whom the child has been with. There's a lot of child abuse that's happening. There can be one uncle in the house.
Right.
The child is not able to speak about it either to the father or the mother.
Right.
Imagine if that kid is going to come to your class and sit that day and you're expecting the kid to be absolutely attentive, being able to understand what's happening in the class. It's just impossible.
Right.
So you as a teacher, I keep saying it's very important for you to keep a track of what is happening with this child. He used to be very active, he's suddenly withdrawn, he's suddenly quiet. You probably ask the child to meet you outside the class, not in the class. Ask the child what is happening to you. The child may not be able to answer.
Right.
So you need to be all eyes and ears in your class. Prioritize mental health. Prioritize your mental health first. You can't pour out of an empty cup.
Right.
So your mental health is also very important at the same time.
Right.
So I really like what ma'am is doing in her school. It's a great takeaway for me today. Because you need to begin the day being calm, composed, to be able to, absorb.
Definitely. I would like to add two words here. What ma'am said. Two words I want to draw here. One is awareness and mindfulness. These two we all know, it's there in the dictionary, right? But how much actually we have taken it in. And it's not about only we as an educator, it is for we as a parent, it is for the children, it is for everybody. Like, forget about going to that extent that somebody is getting abused. I'm talking about, as I said, the atmosphere at home, the parenting, it starts from there. So making a child mindful and aware, making a parent be mindful and aware what is happening around. I always tell, the teachers when we have PTOs and all. So, whenever I had an interaction with a parent, I'm just trying to filter what I should not say. Because I always say, tell the parent, allow your child to fall when you are around. Right. Allow your child to fall when you're around, because when we are not going to be there forever. So when you are not around, when your child will fall, that time, if you have not taught him how to get up, he's going to remember you that time, and you will not like the way he's going to remember. You understand what I'm saying? Right? So when children they fall, let them fall, because you are there behind. When we will not be around, then who is going to teach them? So hand-holding, teaching, guiding is important. Too much of freedom also is not good. That's where I use the word mindfulness. I want my child, let him decide what he wants to do. How the child will decide what he wants to do. Let him know what he wants. Let him know what is called, taking a decision. If I take it up from here, ma'am,
what is called decision making. Somebody has to guide and then tell them this is what is called decision making, and it starts from the age of 3. Be with them, hold their hands. Do not be overprotective as a teacher or as a parent. And until if you start from the age of 3, by the time they reach they pass out with 10th and 12th, then you sit with the child and say, tell me what you feel like. If you have not spoken about decision making, if you have not allowed them to fall and take your small decision and give your inputs, you have not thrown light on certain topics and spoken to your children, how will they learn what is decision making? Right?
Correct.
So awareness, mindfulness should be more spoken about. And whenever I do orientation for the parents, I speak about these things. You need to be mindful first. What you saw not necessarily is the reality.
Right.
Just try to go beyond. Just wanted to add on what ma'am was talking.
Amazing, ma'am. Well said, ma'am, both of you. So with that, we'll move ahead with our question. I want to ask Pratima, ma'am, do you think that focusing on innovation and teaching might neglect the basics of tradition education? How do you balance the two?
Expected question. I was thinking about it. In fact, whenever I'm in, when we are thinking, when we are going for any session or any workshop, this question always haunts me. That I'm going to move ahead and I'm going to be a little new from today after learning this. But am I going to forget from where I started? Right? And let me tell you, there is always a clear answer that comes to my mind is no, never, not at all. Because what I am today, I am the evolved version of myself. I wouldn't have been like this if I have not started like that.
Right.
So I think that says everything. If I have not got that solid base, what I have got in traditional way of teaching and learning, which I still feel the beautiful way of teaching and learning, right? Of course, we need to change as the time changes and things are changing. But at any cost, any point of time, I'm not going to leave the basics that I have learned from the time I started, I became a teacher. So as you question, the traditional way of teaching and learning will always and shall always, must always remain the foundation of this new way of teaching and learning.
Right, ma'am.
Yeah,
Okay.
So what can change is, to add on to what ma'am says, the rote learning bit can change. Hands-on experience can be given to students.
Right.
We can allow them to think innovatively.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong about it.
No, nothing.
Yeah? Just put yourself in the shoes of the child, question the child, what he or she has done. I'm sure the child will give you a convincing answer. Right?
Very true. Very true. In fact, if we can make a beautiful combination of, because generally people say rote learning is not, no, any teacher, if you ask me, we are a regular classroom teachers, right? So yes, without rote learning, how is it possible? But it should be done in a right way. Right way is the right word. Make a proper combination of experiential learning, rote learning, various kind of learnings, in blended learning, integral learning. Just make a good blend of everything, and that's the right way of teaching and learning.
Right, ma'am. So, Kalmani ma'am, can you tell me how do you ensure that these innovative teaching methods cater to diverse learning styles and needs?
Okay. So in a class, a teacher plans her lessons, and aims to teach them through various methodologies. It could be either collaborative learning, or project-based learning, or a field-based learning. So when it comes to it, there is no stress on every child that he has to sit and just listen to the teacher. Because she's done away with the those kind of methodologies, and therefore she ensures that every child in the class is kind of involved. Probably sometimes the teaching is based on catering to multiple intelligences in the class. So if I'm a kinesthetic learner, maybe I have an opportunity to probably indulge in creating a model. Sometimes I've seen my social studies teacher, involving children. First War of Independence, they're rapping the song and performing it in the class or in the assembly. Encourage them to do it in the assembly. So that way, everybody is learning actively. It's involved and there's no force, that I have to sit and learn and then, reproduce the same. So I think it's important, that teachers are engaging these innovative methods so that there are, it caters to the diversified learners, differentiated instruction style. And there's a lot of inclusivity also, that happens. I may be a slow learner, but if the teacher is going to say, okay, pure teaching, I'll be able to probably sit with another student and, able to learn my lessons well.
Right.
So, yes, you want to add on something more?
Yes, I think as ma'am said, there are diversified learners in the class. Like if I am, a kinesthetic learner or a visual learner, so definitely I would need a different kind of preparation altogether, right? And if you say the innovative way of teaching and learning, I feel that way it is a great approach. If we as a teacher, we should be ready to experiment and explore new ways every day. Every day is a new day, right? So if I'm not open, so I really recommend all the teachers, they must be really ready to experiment and explore new ways every day. Not necessarily it's documented, because when you are dealing with a classroom of 30-35 children, you know what is required, right? So that is why when I mentioned about the lesson plan that we create, we take care of these things like audio learner, audio visual learner, or kinesthetic learner, different kind of learners in the class, slow learners are there. Children, those who are having challenges only in the writing skills, right? So when we create the lesson plan, we ensure that we are including some or other elements so that we are able to reach out to the children. As a teacher, the first requirement is to reach out to the child. And yes, not everybody is same. There will be a child who will be doing like this. There will be a child who will be thinking, taking a step back, whether it's right or wrong to approach the teacher. The first thing in the class is to reach out. And to reach out is the first step. It starts with the lesson planning. And then comes using the various innovative teaching and learning methods. So what we are doing, as I mentioned in the beginning, our inquiry-based learning is another milestone for our school and our children, because of this questioning sessions, each and every child, the backbencher also is getting up and asking a question. And nobody says, oh, this is a wrong question. Because question cannot be wrong. You have to just ask a question and there's no conditioning that you must get the answer. So again, another word that I'm dropping today is a conditioning of mind. We always condition the classroom, condition our mind. You must be doing like this. So when we allow them to ask question, we allow them to ask any question. So that conditioning of mind, if I will ask this question, whether my question is right or wrong, right? That hesitation, once you are able to remove that hesitation from the classroom, and then your reach increases. And that's where, as a teacher, I will be able to produce a better results in terms of teaching and learning. Right.
Ma'am, Pratima ma'am, can you tell me, have you ever observed any unintended negative consequences of implementing these new teaching techniques, such as increased stress for students or teachers?
I would say not negative impact, but yes, a lot of challenges, right? Because negative, the moment you say, a lot of things starts coming in mind. The challenges were there, are there, and will be there. So again, I'll quote the practices that we are doing in the school. When we started, as I mentioned, the first week of these practices, especially the silence, nobody was ready to accept. Of course, there was a fear because ma'am had asked to do. But when I had gone for my rounds, and what I observed is a teacher was yelling at top of her voice, like, maintain silence. Like, of course, she was yelling, maintain silence.
That's the loudest. Maintain silence can be the loudest.
And then I called her in my room, and with a smile, I asked, with that volume, how I will be able to maintain silence, my dear friend? Of course, my intention was not to pull her or question her, because I was absolutely settled with my idea first. And then when I called her, and then like that, all the teachers. So there was a lot of resistance. There was a lot of discussion in the staff room. Why we are wasting time? I lost my 5 minutes. Children were not settling down, and I also have conditioned it that only 1 week you are going to say, okay, let's start the class or begin the class. You are not going to use any word like silence or close your eyes. I don't want conditioning of mind. It should be a free flow and the understanding should come from here. But we have to teach that also, right? And it happens slowly. So after 1 week, when the time span of 1 week when you are supposed to give instruction, that also stopped. And the teachers entered the class. They were supposed to just enter and stand like this. And the children should observe and maintain the silence. That was another challenge. So, like that, I have a list of challenges. Bit by bit, little by little, we have overcome all those challenges. The next challenge came from the parents. We are getting late, dispersal is delayed, and you are just standing in silence. How does it make sense? I took permission from my office, these kind of small, small things. And okay, you can do weekly once this meditation practice. This is not any meditation. So we have conducted an orientation session online, of course, because calling them, they are all working people. So we have spoken. And then, as I mentioned, my teachers have become my advocate. And then in PTMs also. So when we do PTM also, we write the points in advance. What are we going to talk? It is always a very efficient way of dealing with things when you are ready.
Right.
So they write down the point. The first point was silence practice in school, and they also started talking about it. So the challenges definitely have come, are coming, but we are addressing it slowly. And now I think pretty much successfully we are running these programs.
Amazing. So, Kanmani ma'am, can you tell me how do you address from parents or community members who feel that traditional teaching methods are being undermined by these new approaches?
Yeah. To begin with, parents have no idea about what innovative teaching practices are. Even if you were to orient them, sometimes, most of the times I would say, they are unable to understand. I'm talking from my perspective and my school perspective because, like I said in the very beginning, that I have some of them who are first generation learners.
Right.
So if you're going to go and talk to them about a field-based learning or an inquiry-based learning, they have no idea about it. Or a project-based learning, they have no idea about it. So their complaints, the challenges we face are sometimes the children are forced to take some projects to be done at home. We make it a point that most of the projects are done in school. But sometimes if there is, let's say, a flipped classroom, you're asking them to go research about something, come back to school, and the next day, the tone is set for the students to work. That's what a flipped classroom is all about. The parents are like, without reading, my child was reading or surfing something on the net. So they have no idea why the child is doing that. So the child feels discouraged then.
Right.
Sometimes they wouldn't mind even giving, or whacking the child one or two and saying, I've been asking you to read, you're not reading. So according to my parents, they have to sit at home and just reading is reading. That's about it.
Right. So, ma'am, do you
So
have
this is a challenge. This is definitely a challenge.
Ma'am, do you have one-on-one session with those parents? Like
We do have. That is when they come saying in a complaining tone. We sit down with them and explain to them, saying that you put your child in a CBSE school.
Right.
They'll come saying, the teacher has not marked any answers in the textbook. My teacher did it. I was in a state syllabus school. My teacher has done it. Your teacher is not doing it. In a CBSE school, I can't be sitting there and marking the questions on the text. There are application oriented questions.
Right.
So how do you expect the teacher to handle that?
Right.
So there are challenges that we face.
Definitely, ma'am.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything?
I think I would agree to ma'am. Of course, ma'am was talking about in context, like what situation she has in her school. But in general, if I have to tell you, parents. I think we need to educate the parents. I mean, we are also a parent. We all are having children. But right now, I'm talking as an educator. Right? My seat is different right now. And as an educator, I feel parents needs to be educated. Like during the COVID time, everybody has had become as an expert, and people used to come and give us all kind of suggestions and gyan. With due respect, you please give us suggestions and gyan, but you need to understand the nitty-gritty, how it's actually is being executed, what it takes to be a teacher. That also has to be, and I think it needs to be understood by the has to be understood by the people. So, as you said, whether any challenges in terms of parents showing concern that we are too much into new innovative teaching and learning approaches. What about our traditional way of learning, teaching, learning approaches? As ma'am said, I don't think so. They're aware. They're aware. We'll be very happy. And it's very generalized term I'm using. There are people who are absolutely brilliant. They understand and they discuss. I have encountered those kind of parents also. But in general, I strongly feel, education for the children in school and education for the parents also is required. Parents also needs to be given heads up about what is actually teaching and learning approach means. Forget about kind of teaching and learning approaches. What does it mean when I say my approach to your child is this approach? How I'm reaching out to your child. Not necessarily it will be same as to that parent's child, right? So I recommend a lot of orientations and sessions for the parent for them to understand what it is, and I request the parents to involve in their child's journey of learning. If they are not ready to involve and only come and question the child why this is not happening, that is something a very sad state, right? Whatever reason, it could be a peer pressure or you don't understand, you don't have time, but involvement is required to evolve. Right. Until you are not involved, you cannot evolve. So that's what from my side.
Amazing. Kalmani ma'am, can you tell me what are some innovative methods that you believe should be scaled up? And why do you think they have potential to make a significant impact?
What the child, experiences and enjoys, the child will remember forever is what I think. Right. So if you are planning your lessons in such a way that the child enjoys learning, trust me, he or she will never forget. Right. So a teacher has to plan her lessons in such a way that the children when I say involved, it is not about the teacher teaching in the class. It's about the teacher paving way for the children to learn it either themselves or sometimes through, exchanging of knowledge with the others. It is also okay if you were to, have a senior kid come and probably teach one odd lesson in a class. I think teachers must encourage that. Not always, the teacher cannot always be there saying that I'm there to teach you. She only acts as a facilitator. And when you act as a facilitator, you're no longer a teacher. Right. Yeah, so you guide them through the process. Guide them through the process. You said it's okay, like ma'am said, it's okay for a parent to allow the child to, fall. So like that, it's okay for a teacher to allow a child to fail. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that, we come to the end of this episode. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your valuable insights. We are delighted to have you on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am.
That's all for today's engaging panel discussion. Due to some time constraints, we could only take few questions. But for more such queries, you can reach out to us on our official website and we'll be happy to answer them offline. For more such videos, log on to our website www.theenm.com. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe the video. Thanks for tuning in. This is Renika and we'll see you next time.